Working with Jacob has been a pleasure. He's been really consistent as someone to work with. I can only recommend him most highly. There's no fluff or nonsense. Everything that he says has been really, really on point. And and if he doesn't have something on point to say, he's just going to listen. In our last session, there was one moment when Jake was like, "This might be a hard pill to swallow," and then he proceeded with like 3 to 4 minutes of just absolute clearest, like straightforward response to what he had gotten from my all this noise that I had given him. I was like, "I'm dealing with all this stuff," and he was like, "This is what I see," and it was so clean and so clear with nothing added. That it just gave me like such a beautiful opportunity to see um, where I was where I was coming from and really get to the source of what was going on there. Um, and he thought it was going to be a hard pill to swallow, but it was just the medicine I needed. It was so perfect. If you're gonna work through a program like the spiral, if you're gonna go through a process, who you're working with really matters. Um, this is a subtle energy exchange process, and as a result, if you're not working with someone who is holding good energy, really holding it down, it's not going to work as well. And that's one of the things that made it so easy to choose to work with Jake. I knew him. He was someone in my community who I, was inspired by and appreciative of. But on top of that, that he's in a loving relationship, just brought a beautiful child into this world. He has a successful coaching business. All of these pieces that are just so wholesome and like such a great example of what it can look like when you got things working. And it's like you when you're doing this kind of work, you want to be working with someone who's got some shit working. Like, pardon my French. When you're doing this kind of work, you want to be working with someone who has got it together. And that's not to say that like Jake tries to present this perfect vision of who he is. It's not really the focus, and yet it's really obvious how much he is handling the parts of his life that are important to him. And it's that it's like working with someone who is um, dealing with the pieces of their life that are important to them. That is, I think, one of the pieces that most inspires me. I was I was another person that I've worked with in the past put this quote, this idea of like, you work with the people that you want to be like, and in that sense, that all these aspects of how Jake is operating in life really inspire me, and so to go through the spiral with him was just such a great fit. And then on top of that, he brings all these other aspects of understanding the psyche and performance and all these other areas of life into the spiral. So he's not just just doing the thing. He's also bringing himself and his skills in Psych K and all the other modes and methods of expanding and working with consciousness that he's acquired over the years. And it really comes through. It's like I feel like some of the best facilitators are pretty darn low key. It's like you don't have to be the loudest person in the room. That's not the point. And with Jake, it's like there's this casualness to how he carries himself that is so perfect, because it's like the opportunity to just be like in easy communication is just always present. It's like he's got an enormous wealth of knowledge and capacity, and at the same time, it's not, there's no pedestal. He's just there and just curious what's going on and wants to help, and no big deal. But it works. And the last 8 weeks or 7 weeks, just been going through some enormous shifts that I can only point to the work that I've done with Jake through the spiral has been responsible for. And despite it being a little bit esoteric, a little bit unclear exactly, how the pieces fit together, it's really obvious that this work has been having really profound effects in my life and my capacity to do what's purposeful for me. So I am enormously appreciative, really excited for the next few months as the integration from this process continues to unfold. And really stoked to see how much impact Jake has on the people that he goes on to work with, because I know that he has a really big dream to impact a lot of people, and it's very inspiring. And we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Jake. And anyone who's watching this, I'd highly recommend working with Jake as a spiral practitioner, coach, mentor. He's the real deal.